It's the dream of every cricketer, the ultimate glory. Few manage to keep their date with destiny. But for many, it's been heartbreaks and a cross to bear. The Holy Grail is here in India. I'm Rupha Ramani, and Firstpost brings you the ringside view. We bring you the Cup of Dreams. Cricket World Cup coverage like never before.
It's back again!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hi, how are you doing? I'm Rupha Ramani, and you're watching Firstpost. Right, we're in the middle of Cricket World Cup fever here in India, and after a whirlwind weekend in Chennai, we're back to the studios here in Delhi. The curtains came down on the Asian Games in Hangzhou. What a successful edition that proved to be, particularly for the Indian contingent. And we'll get you all the latest from around the world here. But first, let's start with our lineup. India's World Cup campaign began on a phenomenal note last night. On Cup of Dreams today, we tell you our top 5 takeaways from India's first win at the World Cup before they take on Afghanistan sometime this week in Delhi. Australia's second match is against South Africa in Lucknow. England is bracing to take on Bangladesh at the Cricket World Cup tomorrow. Bangladesh will enter the ground after securing a win against Afghanistan in their first encounter. Meanwhile, defending champions England tasted defeat in their opener against New Zealand. Will tables turn for England in this one? Will Shakib Al Hasan again prevail? We'll tell you who to watch out for and how that Dharamshala clash could pan out. The 19th edition of the Asian Games concluded. We have a quick recap of the encounters that Hangzhou will remember for years to come. What were the hits, the misses, what made all the noise, and who won big? All of that lined up for you today. All that and more heading your way, but here's what's making all the headlines from around the world of sports in Sports 360. In cricket, concerns mount for India's Shubman Gill. He did not travel with the squad to Delhi for India's next World Cup match. Gill had missed India's first tournament opener against Australia in Chennai and is now set to miss the next one against Afghanistan that's slotted to take place on the 11th of October. He's still recovering from a viral, say sources. Simone Biles wrapped up the Artistic Gymnastics World Championships with 2 more medals. She won the balance beam and the floor events on the final day. This is her first international competition in 2 years. Biles has won 4 golds and a silver at the championships. In football, UEFA has decided to postpone all matches that were scheduled to take place in Israel. The dates for the matches that were to be held in the 2 weeks will be confirmed later. This comes, of course, after Israel declared war following an attack by Hamas. In Formula One, Red Bull's Max Verstappen dominated the Qatar Grand Prix. Mercedes drivers Lewis Hamilton and George Russell collided at the first corner. Hamilton retired after the crash. McLaren's Oscar Piastri came second, while Lando Norris claimed the third position. Right, let's start with cricket and the World Cup. Welcome to another episode of the Cup of Dreams. I've just returned back to the studio after witnessing the India-Australia match at the very gorgeous Chepauk Stadium in Chennai. India has, of course, started the tournament on a winning note from what looked like a very precarious position. For Australia, though, there are still a few concerns that the team will have to address before they get ready to face another very daunting challenge in South Africa. That's in their second match later this week. So what are our 5 takeaways from this encounter? Now, much like we predicted, and Captain Rohit Sharma also hinted, India went ahead by fielding a 3-spin attack. Predictably so. And they wreaked havoc on the Aussie batting lineup. Jadeja and Kuldeep are proving to be a handful to deal with. Their pace and the consistent lengths continue to trouble the Aussie batters. R. Ashwin may not have been just as successful when it came to the wickets column, but the 3 of them were enough to cause a lot of worry lines for Australia. Now, if we just take a look at what happened when Rohit brought on the 3 spinners at one stretch, you'll see the underlying story here. At the 12th over, that's when spin started with the 3 of them in tandem. Australia were pretty all right at 54 for 1. And by the 30th over, that's when all the spinners wrapped up before the pacers again came in. Siraj came in. They ended up being 119 for 5. That's all just Jaddu, Kuldeep and Ashwin. They were tottering at 119 for 5. So for the 18 overs of spin that they faced, Australia only managed to score 65 runs. That's paltry, at a rate of 3 per over, and lost 4 wickets in the process. This is a clear indication that spin will definitely hold the key in these conditions as far as India is concerned. The conditions in Chepauk are of course more conducive probably, but as a long tournament goes on in the subcontinent and it wears on, so will the pitches, as we know. The other takeaway, of course, as you can see, is Virat Kohli. When we talk of performances against Australia, can the mention of Virat be any far behind? The man has exemplified what batting under pressure truly is. He loves a good challenge, we already know that, and what he repeatedly proves is that he's an even better batter when it comes to performing under pressure. Now, why do we say this? If you just look at the numbers of Virat while he's batting first compared to while he's batting second, you know that he's unstoppable. These are his numbers when India has actually won. Batting first, 72 innings, an average of 60 is highly commendable. And he's also obviously contributed at a healthy average there at number 3, his highest being 166. But when he's batting second in India's wins, an average close to 90 is just incredible. That's why he's key to India's fortunes at a 400-plus World Cup. Virat will hold the key, and after he was dropped by Mitch Marsh when he was on 12, and he mistimed that delivery from a fiery Josh Hazlewood, he just put his head down and scripted something special. And this is why he's regarded the best in the business. When we just compare his numbers to some of the best who've also been match winners while chasing, when under pressure, while they perform. Virat Kohli, 5,517 runs there, is surpassed some of the best there, like Sachin Tendulkar, his own predecessor, 5,490. Ricky Ponting, his own teammate, Rohit Sharma, sits there. And of course, Jacques Kallis, a massive super all-rounder who are potential match winners. And his opposition, of course, agrees that when Virat is at the crease, it's always game on. The other man who sort of gave Virat company and shepherded that run chase, the man who's truly played a stunningly mature knock, has been KL Rahul. He's proved that, much like the team's coach Rahul Dravid, who was the wall of the Indian lineup during those times, KL Rahul is steadfastly proving to be the Mr. Reliable of the Indian dressing room. Stepping forward at the right time in the biggest tournament of his life, coming back from injury. To think he was taking a shower when wickets tumbled and he had to rush out to try and steady the ship and stay focused and block everything out. He says Virat Kohli told him to bat like he would if he was playing Test cricket. And he applied himself in here just beautifully. Now that's how, if you look at how he paced his innings and how he built it, that's how he went about it. We talk about the first 20 balls when he took it slow, just 12 runs. And then, of course, he built on it. 40 balls, he took 28 runs. And by the time the 40th ball was bowled, by the time the 60 balls were bowled, he again progressed to 43. He slowed down a little bit when he crossed that 50 half-century mark, and we'll tell you why. But while the team was in trouble and Aussie bowlers were breathing fire, he might have started slow, got his eye in, but slowly built on the momentum. But a little after that, Australia too lost their zing, and all the pressure that they had managed to build on the famed Indian batting lineup at the start just whittled away. And the most oddest expression was, of course, the one Rahul gave after he timed the winning runs to a 6. He said later he wanted to hit a 4 and then a 6 so he could get to 100. But I guess we'll have to just settle for a win. Now, Australia didn't get it all wrong. They did manage to get one positive from their encounter from last night at Chepauk. They will be disappointed about a few things, but one thing that they will surely be happy about is their pace unit. Mitchell Starc and Josh Hazlewood at the top breathed fire. They created the right amount of pressure on the Indian top order. Yes, some loose shots were played, but they kept the pressure up to create the perfect cauldron for Virat and Rahul at the start. Now, if we had to just look at the first 7 overs itself, the two took 3 wickets and gave away just 19 runs in the 7 overs that they bowled. That was their first spell. That's how lethal their first spells turned out to be. In fact, Rahul also slowed down a bit after his 50 when Hazelwood came back to bowl. He had built up the right impact, but a pity the others couldn't really carry that through. And the final takeaway for me from that match yesterday is the World Cup coming alive. Amongst all talk of this possibly being the last ODI World Cup that we will witness and some very empty stands in the last few games, the World Cup witnessed its first full house. And in Chepauk, a ticket capacity of 37,000 and close to 34,000 came and stayed even when India was in trouble, dressed in a sea of blue. They continued to stay there and watch the proceedings. It was definitely a sight. We hope this momentum only continues and the other stadiums then catch up and fans take to some of the other teams in the tournament as well to provide the right impetus. All right, now let's look ahead to the match that is lined up tomorrow. England is getting ready to take on Bangladesh in the very beautiful Dharamshala. The picturesque venue will belie what promises to be a cracker of a contest. Now let's look at Bangladesh first. They're coming off a win against Afghanistan, so they have the momentum heading into this clash. Mehdi Hassan, of course, looking in good nick, and their middle order looks solid. Shakib Al Hassan continues to hold the key to their fortunes both with bat and ball. Now let's turn our attention to England, because that's the most worrisome at this point. England is coming off a bit of a beating, losing to New Zealand in a clinical fashion. The absence of Ben Stokes, who continues to be unavailable now for selection, is a major cause for concern for the squad. He's still recovering, as we hear, from a sore hip. That just puts additional pressure on the rest of the seniors, particularly Johnny Bairstow at the top and Joe Root in the middle. They need a win under the belt to get their campaign back on track. But what's creating more stir isn't the team combinations or the fitness concerns, but the conditions in Dharamshala. The venue has been under the scanner for all the wrong reasons. First, the pitch did not pass inspection, and later the outfield came under slack during the Afghanistan-Bangladesh game. Jos Buttler, the England captain, has slammed the conditions, saying this could lead to injuries. Now, in our Mic Up segment today, I caught up with former West Indies T20 captain, who's a commentator now at the World Cup in Chennai, to talk about England as a side and their chances. Let's listen in to the chat with Carlos Brathwaite. We'll speak about the World Cup. It's a 50-over World Cup, seems obviously going to be a little long. A few exciting teams coming in here, even those who've sort of come through the qualifiers as well. At the outset, if I had to ask you, which is the team that excites you the most, or the top four teams that sort of you're seeing, okay, these are the ones to beat, who would they be?
I got this question a couple of times in the lead up to the tournament. I think India at home are always difficult. England still my favourites. I think they've revolutionised the 50-over game, and teams are now starting to catch up, but they're the pioneers of the way the game is now being played. Australia is always a threat in World Cups. And my head says Pakistan. I think they're good enough, but the heart says South Africa. I think my two keys to success for this World Cup will be the ability to score 330 consistently, which I think South Africa can do, but also take 10 wickets. And I think if they continue with what has been a conservative approach in the past, it won't do them well on small grounds and good wickets. And not only because he's my friend, but I think playing Maharaj and Tabraiz Shamsi is going to be quite important for them getting 10 wickets consistently. And if they do that, then I'll have them as my fourth team to make the semis.
You know, you did mention a little bit about England and how they sort of set the pace and changed the way cricket now is played in another manner. What do you see? Who do you see is sort of a key component to their campaign here? If you had to pick their biggest strength over here.
To England, I think Butler's mighty important. You just look at the head of the snake. You look at the leader. One parallel, and it's going to be unfair to him taking over from Owen Morgan, because he'd always be compared to Owen Morgan and the success that he's had as a captain. But I've played under Butler and I've had the privilege of, and I think that one of the things that I've realized playing under him, from listening to guys talk about Owen Morgan, is that unflappable nature. So he never looks flustered, never looks as though the game is gone. And I think for the high-risk way in which they want to play, there will be points, just like the first game, where it's like all doom and gloom, the world is against you. How do you find it within yourself to be more attacking and not go into a shell and be conservative? And I think having someone like that at the top of the leadership pyramid as sorts, who's leading your team, who will all continue to give you that confidence, go out there and play where backing you, and then he'll go out there and back that way as well, so he'll support it. I think it's going to be very important. It's quite a long tournament. Loads of time for ups and downs to happen, and you need someone who's going to be emotionally stable. And that's just off the field. On the field, he's one of the best white ball players to ever play the game. You think about A.B. de Villiers reincarnate, and he takes even more responsibility now as skipper. And it's just fantastic to watch him go about the way he plays, where he comes in early and absorbs the momentum from the opposition, already comes in late and just tees off. So he's going to be mightily important. Obviously, it's going to be a team game, but I think if he gets it right with the messages he sends off the field and the way he plays it on the field, England will be unstoppable.
And you can catch the rest of that full interview with Carlos Brathwaite on our platform. But moving on, the 19th edition of the Asian Games wrapped up in Hangzhou on the 8th of October, and what an edition it proved to be. Just a quick recap with the medals tally at the end of the Asian Games. Of course, China finishing on top with 201 gold medals. Japan coming in second, and a vast difference right there, 52. South Korea, 42. India holding the position there with about 28 goals, their best performance till date. And of course, Uzbekistan rounding off the top 5. Interestingly enough, the last time India's best finish that happened at the Asian Games was in 1986 when they finished 5th. That was the best performance, and they've come a long way. Now, as you know, over the last few weeks, we've been your eyes and ears here, getting you some of the biggest stories, the best moments from all across the Asian Games, and also capturing the journey of all the athletes and getting their stories across to you. So it's time now to sort of look back at the memorable Asian Games that it was and bring you all the greatest hits, some glorious moments, some misses, and of course, all that made the right kind of noises.
Curtains closed at the 2023 Asian Games at Hangzhou on October 8th. And here, we're taking a look at those watershed moments that made the multi-event sport in China absolutely worthwhile. Amid fierce competition and thrilling encounters, the loudest cheers at the event were heard for the 48-year-old Oksana Shusovitina, who narrowly missed out on a medal. When she finished in 4th place, the crowd broke into wild applause. The Uzbekistan gymnast is not a new face. She's been competing since the 1994 edition of the Asian Games. Athletes like Shusovitina continually defy age. After her artistic gymnastics event, she said she will continue to compete and her next aim is the next Olympics. The sporting highs and lows continued. Some drama and controversy also took center stage. India's Neeraj Chopra and his compatriot Kishore won gold and silver despite some hiccups. Neeraj's first throw could not be recorded due to a technical failure. Kishore Jaina also faced his own trouble at the javelin final. His second throw was disqualified by officials even though it wasn't a foul. Kishore's leg was nowhere near the white line when he threw. After reviewing, the decision was overturned and it was recorded. Even Jyoti Yaraji was disqualified for a false start that she didn't commit. She protested the decision and was allowed to compete in the women's 100-meter hurdles. And her bronze medal was upgraded to silver at the end of the event. Next came a thriller in a track and field event, in what many would describe as one of the greatest races of all time. If you watched India's Parul Chaudhary in the women's 5,000 meter, you'd know what I'm talking about. In less than 24 hours, Parul had to compete in 2 grueling events. She had already run the 3,000 meters in steeplechase the day before. When the event schedule of the Asian Games was finalized, Parul was well aware of what she was going to confront. In the 5,000-meter event, Parul was trailing Japan's Ririka Hironaka, but she switched gears in the final few seconds to beat Ririka. In a first, esports made its debut as a medal event at the Asian Games, and gaming fanatics went gaga over it. The event witnessed one of the greatest footfalls at Hangzhou. Fans thronged to the stadium in hopes of catching their favorite role models in action. It was the only event at the Games whose tickets were sold through a lottery. Thailand claimed the first esports medal by defeating Vietnam in the game Arena of Valor. Another historic moment was in cricket. The Nepal men's cricket team became the first ever to score over 300 runs in a T20 international match. They had scored a sweeping 314 runs during their match against Mongolia. Kushal Malla of Nepal smashed the fastest century in a T20 international. They hit a total of 26 sixes during the match, and that was also the most scored in a T20 innings.
Right, we've come to the end of Firstpost today, but as you always know, we have something little special towards the end, something like a parting shot that we leave you with called the last serve. Now, just recently you saw UK royalty making some of the athletes happy and trying her hand at a sport like rugby. Now we've got the French president Emmanuel Macron also doing the same, making some para-athletes happy. Take a look.
Pour essayer d'impressionner le public pour ces deux équipes en présence.
Tu veux dire qu'il n'est pas impressionné encore, c'est ça?
Si, mais là,
T'as un œil critique, c'est ça?
on attendait un peu plus de réaction de la part du public.
On vous entend pas, le public, faites du bruit! Ah, juste à côté.
C'était une passe.
Voilà!
Je pense qu'on peut conclure ce magnifique moment de sport sur ce dernier tir réussi.
Yeah, quite sweet pictures there. But that about does it here for us here at Firstpost. We hope you really enjoyed this as much as we did bring it to you. As always, keep following us and our coverage of the World Cup on Cup of Dreams. But for now, I'm going to say bye-bye. I'll see you again tomorrow at 7 p.m.